Hey guys, this is Bones on Campus, wanting to give you a more in-depth look at my reloading bench. Last time I gave you a quick run through of my room, and you can see kind of what I had set up. I'm going to go more in depth on the bench itself. So, this is an end view of my reloading bench. What a lot of you may be doing, which is what I did, is go online, look for plans or pre-built kits or something to make a bench. I looked at all that stuff, decided on my own design. What I did basically is I have a four-piece system. I made it this way to be somewhat modular so I can carry it in and out of the house by myself, throw it back in a pickup truck, something like that. To start with, of course, the main body of the bench is the bench top. This bench top is 30 by 90. What I have is I made a frame out of 2x4s, and I put a piece of plywood that was flush with the 2x4s and a piece of plywood over the top. So looking at it from the underside, if I have light, as you can see, I made cross joists and I made them lowered a little bit so that I can make a little shelf for the plywood to sit into, and then put the plywood on top to tie it all together. Now, for legs, I made a basic H-frame where I just had a couple of 2x6s and a 2x4, made an H, not a big deal. I did all this to do it so I could bolt it together. So what I have is for my H-frame going to my main table, I just had a set of bolts here. And then over here you can see where I have this other piece right here, which is a 2x6 that goes up, that's the main arm bracket for the back of the bench. So I was able to have it come through the tabletop, which I'll show you in a second, and bolt it to the leg, and run bolts through the 2x4 for the top plate, the leg, and for the main arm of the shelf. So what I did is I cut a hole in the tabletop, slid the 2x6 through there, and bolted it all together. So what I can do is I can undo the bolts, take the entire back piece, pull it up out of the bench, set it down, undo the rest of the bolts, and take the legs off the tabletop and move it around. Now for the back of the bench, I just took more plywood and just attached it to the back of it and made a little piece on top for a shelf. And I meant to build more involved shelving. Never got around to it. Now it's covered in stuff. May not happen. I made sure I finished everything off and sanded the corners, made it nice, and I covered it with a polyurethane sealer. And then to set it up, the whole side of the bench is just components. Takes up about 2 feet of the bench. I've got the main working area of the bench where I have my press, powder measure, trimmer, all the tools and stuff. And then on the other side of the bench, I've got a tumbler what I put on like a welcome mat, so it didn't slide around or move around on the bench top itself. And in order to have this much open space, that's why I had to make my other desk into a cleaning bench, so I had room for all this stuff. Now as you can see, I have all this open space in the back here that if I had made shelves, would better utilize the space. I still need to do that. In the meantime, I have the one piece of shelf on top that's acting as a connecting brace and a shelf. So basically that's it. That is how I made a 4-piece bench that I can put in the back of a pickup truck and lay flat, and I can carry it into my house by myself and put it together, because it's not very light, especially the tabletop being so big with double layered plywood. It's working well enough for me. I did have to get some shims. It'll level it up on the floor. Not a huge deal. But right now this bench is wider than the door frame is, so I wouldn't have been able to get it into the house without doing it this way. And then to finish up, just a little look at it pretty, I added a LaRue tactical mount and loop-holed scope to my 5.56, and I went over the paint job again with some more color, and that all came up pretty well. Show you the other side. The LaRue mount has just got the two locking levers. Pop it right off. Not a big deal. So that project's turning out okay, and it's fun. So this is Bones on Campus. Hope you liked the more in-depth look at my reloading bench, and that's one way to do it. I didn't add any dimensions or anything on there, just because you all are going to have different size houses, different size rooms to get into. I mean, I had plenty of space in this part of my bedroom to put this whole bench in here, but You could always make something smaller. I mean, this tabletop's 30 by 90, and it's, I don't know, roughly 3 feet tall. You can make it much smaller, larger, make it L-shaped, whatever you needed to do. But this is just one way to tie it all together where it's not permanent. You can unbolt it and take it apart by yourself. So, hope y'all like it, and video 2. Have a good one.